Hello, welcome to math class, June 1st. We're going to start the new packets that you just got today, and I also posted a packet online of the new packet. You'll find that the work that needs to be done each week or each night is really short. This is meant to be just kind of a quick review of the main topics that we're supposed to cover in 7th grade. So you have some problems and some notes on the top half of page 1 that you're going to try for tonight, just 7 problems. But before that, I thought I would review each one of the main topics that we're going over for this review. So this is the negative calculations, and you're allowed to use a calculator if you use it. Obviously, there's no way for me to police that there, but we try to make sure you have an understanding of these. So I'm just going to quickly go over adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing of these negative numbers. All right. So first, for adding, if you remember, we did adding negative numbers. We thought of great battle. Okay, the great battle, and all that meant was if you had negatives added to positives, then they were fighting, right? They were equally perfectly matched soldiers, so that each negative and positive would end up getting each other at the same time and canceling out, right? Like we did the sword fighting, like they stabbed each other at the same time. And then whatever army had more troops, that would be what was left over, and that would be our answer to adding and subtracting, okay? Because they're going different ways on the number line. That's basically the idea here, okay? And if they're on the same team, like number 2, and you have negatives and negatives, they're on the same team, they're not going to fight, they're just going to combine to make a bigger army. That was the main idea. So number 1, negatives, positive 15, so negative 6 added to positive 15, they're fighting. The positives win the battle, and after they win, they're going to lose 6 troops in battle, so it's going to leave them with positive 9. Okay? Number 2, negative 19 plus negative 3, they're on the same team, so they're just going to combine up to make a bigger army of 22 negatives. And number 3, negative 7 plus 2, negatives win the battle, and they'll have 5 left over after they lose 2 to those guys. Okay, so that's how we did that. By the way, if you have a problem with fractions for adding and subtracting, this is the trickiest one with fractions, is you do need to have, remember, for fractions, a common denominator. So if I have something like this, before I try to do any great battle or adding or subtracting or anything, I have to first find a common denominator. So in this case, it would be 12. So remember, I don't want to change the value of these numbers. So I'm going to multiply by 1 in disguise, 4 over 4, which is 1 whole, 1 in disguise, 3 over 3. This gives me a new problem of negative 8 twelfths plus 3 twelfths. Now that you get a common denominator, you can just keep the twelfths. And I use great battle on the top, negative 8, positive 3. The negatives will 1 by 5, so our answer would be negative 5 twelfths. Okay, so that's just a quick reminder on adding. For subtracting, okay, for subtracting here, you can use what we call keep, change, change, KCC, okay? You don't have to every time, but if it's confusing, I would recommend that you do this because this allows us to think of a subtraction problem as adding the opposite, which is the same. So in the most simplest way, with the one that you wouldn't have to change, like one that you knew back in 2nd grade, if I had something like 10 minus 4, you guys all know that's 6. All keep, change, change tells us is that you could keep the 10, change subtraction to addition, and change 4 to negative 4, and that's going to be an equivalent expression since this one equals 6 and this one equals 6. So this is a nice tool that we have that allows us to do some of these subtracting with negative problems a little bit easier. Now hopefully, again, this is all review here. So for number 6, if we have something like negative 17 minus 4, number 7, we could do negative 8 minus negative 3. And then number 8 here, we'll do 15 minus 23. Okay? So for all of these, we can do keep, change, change, and think of them as adding the opposite number. Now we can use Great Battle just like we did on the first problem. So same team, now that it's Great Battle, now it's adding. So this is negative 21. This is going to be Great Battle, negatives win by 5. And this is Great Battle, negatives win by 8. Okay? So again, adding and subtracting. Alright? The last batch of problems is multiplying and dividing, and the good thing about multiplying and dividing is they have the same rules. So the same rules are simply, and this is in your notes on page 1, if you're multiplying numbers that have the same sign, or dividing numbers that have the same sign, your answer is always going to be positive. Okay, so for example, we already know 4 times 2 is 8, because it's both positives. But also, if you have the same sign, negative 4 times negative 2, this is the weird one, negative times a negative is still a positive. So if they have the same sign, they're positive. But if you had one of each, 4 times negative 2, or negative 4 times positive 2, so both of these are different signs, a positive times a negative, or a negative times a positive, these will equal negative numbers. And by the way, same thing if you divided 2 positives, when you divide them, give you a positive. 2 negatives, when you divide them, give you a positive. But if you have different signs, one of each, when you divide, you'll get a negative number. Okay? So last batch of problems for you to try here. Let's just we'll do negative 6 times 5. We'll do negative 50 divided by negative 2, and we'll do a fraction one, negative 3/4 times negative 1/7. Okay, looking at the answers of these last ones here, you got one of each different signs, so that's going to be a negative, and 6 times 5 is 30. You got 2 negatives here, so it's the same sign, so half of 50, so answer negative divided by negative is positive, and half of 50 is 25, so my answer is positive 25. And here, our favorite is multiplying. I don't have to put a dot there, I could just leave parentheses, but I'll put a dot there to show multiplication. So just multiply the tops and the bottoms. Negative 3 times negative 1, negative times negative is a positive 3. 4 times 7 is 28. Multiplying fractions is our favorite one. No need for a common denominator. Okay, so that's a quick review of what we did to start the year when we learned about negative numbers. You have those examples and also the examples that can be found on the top of page 1. So I have 5 examples done right here for you, and you have to try simply these 7 problems for tonight. Okay, all right, thanks for tuning in. I hope everything's going well for you guys, and I'll have another video posted tomorrow. All right, bye.